Hey everybody, welcome to our fourth episode of Shaman and the Scribe. I'm Ali Kaden. I'm an author of thriller and esoteric fiction, and I'm here with my good friend Brendon.
Hey everyone, I'm Brendon. I'm a spiritual consultant, Reiki master, and shaman. Excited to start our episode today.
So before we pressed record, we were talking about intuition, and I thought it would be a good idea for us to talk about our intuition as it relates to this podcast and why we're doing this. I think, and I'm speaking for maybe both of us here, is that when we met, or maybe not when we met, but several months after we met, we started feeling or getting the inclination that something was going to be built with us, by us, and around us. And I don't know what that something is exactly, but I think it's has to do with a large group of people and movement towards consciousness and a lot of teaching and a lot of unity. And it's vague what the idea is that it will become, but it's also a very strong feeling. At least that's how I've come into this. And would you say that's a good way to characterize it?
Definitely, it does feel like something sort of coming up from beneath us, and that there's a greater purpose here that we're sharing, and feels like we're cultivating something positive for the benefit of many people.
Yeah, and my wife's mom, when she saw us together, said that she felt like something was going to happen with us and around us as well, which was interesting. And then we were at an event last weekend where people seemed to be pretty thrilled about the idea of some kind of movement, joint movement towards consciousness. And it's going to be fun to watch what happens.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, when did you first get that intuition?
When did I first get that intuition?
Yeah.
Well, my
Or here's a better question, like how did it come?
How did it come? I think my experience with you, having sessions with you and meeting with you, is that some things clicked. Some things about the nature of reality and the nature of consciousness clicked for me. Because the way you teach is not so much explaining, you teach meditation by showing somebody what it looks like to be present in the moment, unconditionally empathetic. And it's also simple. It's like it's hiding in plain sight, but I
Yeah.
missed it. I missed it for most of my life. I got glimpses of it, but for the most part I missed it. And when I got it, I felt the profoundness of that message. For me, it was, this is really important. This is really big. This is monumental in my life, but it could be monumental in everybody's life. And when I started thinking about the idea of how would one carry this message? And I love that it's a message without culture, religion, ethnicity. It's just a message that can help. I started thinking about how that would happen. And it dawned on me that it would happen by its own accord. It would happen on its own. And I think another thing I've learned is that when I'm practicing awareness, there's a lot less to do and a lot more allowing. And so I came to the realization that all we had to do is keep talking, keep hanging out, and allow whatever it is that's going to happen. And, all the people that we've met together and all the introductions that we've made and, all the things that we've built in a short time happened because we allowed, not because we were grinding and scheming.
Yeah, there was no trying. And that's I trust that flow, And I like the way you described my teaching approach, because spiritual teaching comes, there's some intellectual knowledge and some process, and most of spiritual teaching comes in the form of vibration. I think that might be what you're sort of pointing at when you were describing it, is like receiving the vibration rather than explanations or instruction.
Right. The essence of a message without it being explained. So how do you experience this intuition? What do you see being built around us? What do you see?
I see a group of people who are like-minded, sharing the intention to expand consciousness and the knowing that all is one, who have a passion to share that with others, for the benefit of others. And what I'm starting to see is that we're connecting with people who have uniquely different gifts and strengths to bring to the table. And I see us working with a bunch of people on either developing some kind of retreats, or I'm not sure what it is yet. I just have this sense that that something's cooking.
Yeah, we're into a lot of stuff, meditation, chanting, journeys, and it'd be a blessing to bring any and all of that to a larger audience. But it's whatever wants to happen will happen, I guess. From my end, I think when I'm in awareness and in my higher self and following a path that is in line with who I really want to be, synchronicity increases.
Mhm.
I start to see a lot of coincidences happening, and I'll think about somebody and they'll reach out, or I'll have an idea that something might be a good idea, and then that thing will come forward and be immediately available. And I take that as a sign that I'm on the right path. Are you having any of that with this?
Yes, I am. Well, in particular, someone who we might be having on our podcast next time messaged me right before we met today, like
Oh,
minutes before our meeting. So that felt synchronous.
yeah, same thing happened with me today. I was talking about work, business outside of writing and outside of this, real estate work. And I'm planning how to create a structure that is more aligned with what I'm looking to be, and also aligned with what my partners are looking to be. And I had a nice long talk with one of my partners, and I'm talking to somebody new who's a good friend, and we're exploring the idea of working together. And I was telling my wife about all the ideas from the first conversation, and the second friend sent me an email, a very detailed email with what the structure, the real estate structure that he thinks would be most aligned with him, but also with all of us. And it was exactly the same message, the same wording, the same outline. And it's things like that make me think I'm on the right path.
It's like breadcrumbs.
And you
And
need
so, go ahead.
well, and you need those breadcrumbs because part of being present and practicing awareness is not thinking, right? Is not overthinking stuff. So, and when I don't overthink stuff, there's this weird feeling like, oh, I'm not being responsible. I'm not thinking about everything to death. That's my job, but it's that letting go that feels almost lackadaisical sometimes, that allows things to happen. And the breadcrumbs, I'm glad they're there, so that they're good reminders, like, yep, stay out of your mind, good things are happening, don't need you,
Yeah,
buddy.
right. Just allow a higher intelligence to come through and do something better than what we could do on our own. Yeah, I love that.
And my friend came and visited us over the weekend, and I think by doing some of this stuff and talking with us, I think that was his biggest takeaway. I mean, I don't know what his biggest takeaway is, but that's what it looked like. I am not the mind, just the very, very tangible, visceral realization or experience. I am not the mind. And, he was here for 3 days, and it was incredible to see what that realization can do to a person.
Yeah, I didn't meet him before. I saw him in the middle of it and toward the end for his session with me. And he definitely seems like a transformation happens.
So if somebody is not the mind, what are they?
I'm waiting for intuition to come through for the answer. So I'm the thinker. I'm not my thoughts. I'm the one who's having the thoughts.
Right.
The one who's seeing the singing bowl in front of me and the seer of that bowl. I'm not the opinions about that my mind creates about the singing bowl in front of me. I'm the silent observer.
And what is that?
Another good question. What is that? Well, I think that's the same silent observer that's in all beings, plant, animal. It's the creator experiencing itself through us. It's creativity, the source of creativity. That the timeless, changeless aspect of ourselves.
So you're saying that everything is an expression of one. Everything is an expression of God.
Yes.
And we are all God, and everything is all made up of God.
Yes. And that's so you asked who, if the person isn't their thought, isn't their mind, then who are they? They're God. They're
Right.
the observer.
Right. And so every being is just one being, and all of creation is also the creator. Is that how you think about it?
That feels true. Yeah.
Yeah, that feels true for me too.
Yeah, and it sort of it created all of this so that it could come into existence by forgetting its connection to everything. And it seems like in our lifetimes as humans, we have the opportunity to remember that we're all one being experiencing itself.
In Arabic, the word human is very closely related to the word forget.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's really interesting.
yeah. But we can remember while we're here, when we're alive as a human. You know, we come in a forgotten state, but there's stuff we can do to feel that oneness, right? To realize that all are the one and the one is the all, right?
Absolutely. Like we come in and under this veil of forgetting, and our work is survival and basic needs, security, lower chakra stuff, first, second, and third chakra, learning that we're, what the boundaries of the body are, how to keep the body safe and protected, and how to coexist with other beings and bodies. And humans have, that's what we have in common with most of the animal kingdom is our lower chakra experience. And humans have this ability to continue their evolution in their lifetime to get in touch with the heart chakra, and the upper chakras to expand their consciousness farther and really remember.
And why is that good? Because I think some people, when they hear the all are the one and the one is the all, they experience a mini death or the threat of death because that proposition suggests that you don't have individuality, that your individuality is an imagined thing. You know, you're not just a distinct being. And so it feels like, hey, I don't want to lose myself, in this concept. But people who do spiritual practices or engage in spiritual practices and have an experience of that oneness seem relieved, they seem healed, they seem pacified. So, can you explain that? Why dying to self, or why letting go of individuality, surrendering your personality to the one, which can sound scary, is actually a good thing?
Yeah, I think, let's see, to see all others in oneself and oneself in all others. How could anything bad come to you in that state?
So, you mean if I experience you as me, there's no way that I could ever hurt you,
Yes,
and vice versa?
and vice versa. Yeah,
And the same with creation, right? It would be nicer to the grass and the soil and the trees and the birds and the animals. And if everything is a reflection of me, of one, maybe we would have a much more delicate approach with the world around us.
I think so. I think also a more balanced approach. What you said about forgetting, the Arabic word for human, like the animals don't have this veil of forgetting. They know that that all of this is one, that they are their environment.
Right. How does one find internal peace, though, from experiencing oneness? Let's say that I'm troubled and I come to you, and I'm troubled in a variety of different ways. My eating is not in line. Maybe I'm using substances to sleep, to work, to cope, to be happy, avoiding people or not happy with the people in my life, and not happy with the direction of my life and the way things are going, professionally, academically, whatever it may be. How does practicing oneness help the internal experience?
Well, there are times in life, our system lets us know that we need to make a change, and uh, feeling feelings of discomfort or dis-ease is important. So that's the first thing is honoring like what you're presenting with, like the discomfort, like why are you uncomfortable, and then so there's some external stuff that you would want to look at and see if you want to include what's in your life any longer, or some of it or all of it. What changes you want to make so that you can feel a little better day to day. And meanwhile, I would give you some practices to cultivate stillness within yourself, to quiet the mind and help bring you into a state of relaxed, alert awareness.
And then what happens?
Then you sit and wait for intuition to come and give you your next breadcrumb. So practicing to bring yourself into a state of relaxed, receptive awareness. Over time, you're going to start receiving intuition, information from your higher self about what it is, what's in your best interest to do next, or to engage with next, or not do next.
Yeah, allowing can be a lot more powerful than doing sometimes.
Yeah, so usually when I start working with someone, it's more about allowing, getting a steady practice going, being with difficult feelings.
I'm working on allowing things to work better in my writing lately. I bring in prayers and intentions into my writing sessions, and based on a couple of talks we've had, I try to make sure that those writing sessions are pleasant, that if I say this is what I love to do and this is what I want to get paid for, I should be happy doing it too. This is my choice. So there's no reason why I would be unhappy doing it. And I realized that a lot of the pressure that I was applying on myself was not necessary, that it would be beneficial for me, for the readers, for all, if I enjoyed this experience. And book writing is hard, and so I sent the last draft to my editor George, and I got it back and sent it to some beta readers, and I felt like it wasn't in the condition that I would have that's ready for publishing. And so I had to go back and do some extensive editing, which I just finished last night. And I went into the editing not with this feeling of, oh, it's bad and I have to fix it. And it's, but no, it'll get fixed. The answers will come. It'll get done. And I sent it back to George, and he's already, read through part of it and confirmed that, these are really good changes. And I'm not surprised that, other sort of synchronicities around writing can now start to show themselves, because being present with what I'm doing too, and doing my part but allowing the other parts to work as well. I'm not the one, right? Like I'm not the I'm part of the one, and there's a lot more that needs to happen for this thing to work.
I'm kind of hearing that you're getting out of the way and letting the writing happen through you.
Getting out of the way, yeah, which involves I think that's a good way of saying it. Getting out of the way, and being more present to not introducing negative emotions that are unnecessary for the process.
Okay, so how are you doing that with your thoughts?
How am I doing it?
Yeah.
I ask Archangel Gabriel for help writing before each session. It's kind of like a conversation. It's like, hey, can you help me do this? Because I'm stuck and I don't know how to fix this, plot issue. And then I just assume that he's like, yeah, I'll help you. And then I sit down and write, and it just kind of gets done.
That's such a good idea. Our helpers are there waiting for us to ask for their help, and they can't help us unless we do. Actually, do you find when you call in Archangel Gabriel that your writing is that you're more in a flow state while you're writing, more enjoyable as a process?
Very much more enjoyable. When I take time to do that little practice, it's different. I'm not grinding at my desk, like trying to get the word count and watching the clock and this is such a drag. It takes away some of that, and then it's more, I get to be an author. I get to write. I get to edit. I get to work on this, and I have help, so I don't have to worry about stuff.
That shift, it makes a big difference.
Who do you call in?
When I'm working,
Or
usually
otherwise?
or otherwise, usually Archangel Michael. I always call in the life force energy. Yeah, Archangel Michael usually though.
Can you feel a difference between Michael and Gabriel?
I just don't feel as connected or as drawn to Gabriel, and I have more experience connecting with Michael. I'll have to test that out and get back to you.
I love the names of angels in Hebrew. Michael, Michael is the might of God, or the power. Or sorry, no, Michael is like God. It's similar to God. And Gabriel is the might or the power of God. And all the angel names are like that. They're attributes of God. If you look at the name literally, it's this attribute of God. And Gabriel is in Christianity and in Islam, and maybe Judaism, I'm not sure, but he's linked with the Word, which has been the message that inspired what Jesus said and what the Prophet Muhammad said, and Gabriel was the messenger that brought the word of God in those stories. And they say the pen is mightier than the sword, and so the might of Gabriel is the word. So it makes sense for an author to hang out with him whenever possible.
Absolutely. I know I have another friend who's a light worker and an author who connects with Gabriel when they write. She kind of channels Gabriel in her writing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Would you say you're a conduit or a channel of Gabriel in your writing?
No, I mean, I guess because I think of channeling as going into a meditative state and allowing something else to take over, and I don't do that when I write. Maybe I do that when I come up with ideas, like if I'm thinking about a new book and a new character or a new villain or a new location or storyline or something, and I'm drawing a blank, I let go. I say, hey, okay, God, give me a good idea, and then I forget about it. And then usually the idea finds me. Einstein had something similar. Not that I'm comparing myself to Einstein, but he worked at the post office. He liked to go do menial sort of repetitive work because when he took his mind off the problem, that's when the inspiration came. And whatever that is, that's the closest I think I am to channeling at the moment.
Okay, that's it. I didn't know that about Einstein. I also read that he said thank you. He made sure to say thank you at least 100 times a day.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. I think he has a quote too, if I'm not mistaken. Study a little bit of science and you'll be an atheist. Study a lot of science and you'll know that there's something greater at work.
Yes. Yeah, you can absolutely see that more and more so.
Yeah. On the idea of our intuition of something being built around us, there's two things that I would want to see. I don't know if we're gonna see, but I would want to see. And I think when somebody's part of a religion, it's very specific, depending on what sect or what religion or whatever it may be, the place of worship you're going to, what the message is, what the interpretation of the scripture is, and it could be opposing interpretation to somebody else's scripture.
Mhm.
And you're generally praying or doing spiritual practices with others who believe that that path is the right path, and they have chosen it out of all the other world religions and spiritual traditions. But what we do does not belong in any one camp, and which is nice, and I think interfaith communication is something that matters a great deal to me. I like it when you have somebody who's assured in their faith that knows how to talk to people from other religions. They don't approach everybody as, I'm right and you're wrong and let me convert you to my thing. But also, the people who are a little bit more expansive in their worldview and spiritual view and don't mind mixing and matching, and I don't think you and I have any problem doing something Christian and then doing something Hindu and not really seeing much of a difference because it's the same oneness in the end. You can't get away from the one. You're in the one, you're part of the one. But I wish people like us had a place to go. I wish there was an established building, place where there was multiplicity of spiritual tradition and healthy interfaith communication.
I like that vision. I
Yeah.
want to see that too. Yeah, there's all the traditions they're all really talking about the same thing. It's so clear. I think that humanity would really benefit from looking at its similarities and coming closer to that understanding that all is one by doing that.
It's funny to me when you think of it in terms of percentages of world population. There's what, 8 or 9 billion people now on Earth. I don't know the exact number. And
Yeah.
let's say that, Christians are a third of that number. I don't think they are, but roughly. And let's say that someone believes that that's the one true path, that's the right choice among all the world religions, and the other ones are wrong. That would mean that we have a God who created Earth with 8 billion people, of which two-thirds are going to be lost and burned and forgotten. And it's just when you look at it in a global perspective, it gets really funny, and it's funny to me that the Muslim and the Native American shaman are not clear by this point in 2024 that they're worshiping the same God, that the same spiritual reality applies in both traditions and both locations, just as gravity does, you know?
Yeah, I like that. I like your vision. I see it being built, and I'm still waiting and receptive for intuition and insight on what to do.
Yeah, me too. So what do we do in the meantime? How many, we're going to have a guest on our podcast maybe next time?
Yeah, hopefully.
What are we going to ask him?
It's a good question. I think we'll know in a moment.
So we're not going to script this at all?
No.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll see what comes up.
Well, I think he'd be enthused either way, so let's do it.
I think so. Yeah, he's a very cool guy.
Yeah, yeah, no, he knows all this stuff and gets all this stuff and expresses it in his own unique and beautiful way. So it'll be fun to broaden these conversations and include him and others in it potentially.
Absolutely. I think this is what we're envisioning. It's starting to happen through us already.
Do you have any closing notes? I think we could wrap it up at this point.
Yeah, I know that feels good. Thank you everyone for listening, sending love and light to all of you. And thank you, Ali, for chatting with me today.
My pleasure. And thank you everyone. And we'll see you in episode 5.
Great.
Bye.
Bye.